For today's video, I wanted to share 6 reasons that you might want to consider going gluten-free, and also how a gluten-free diet helped my health. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Carrie, and this is Clean Eating Kitchen, where I share real food recipes and tips to help you feel great. Today I'm here in my office and I wanted to share a tutorial for those of you who are new to a gluten-free diet. And I've had a few questions about resources and tips to get started. So first of all, I'm not a doctor or a dietitian, and so I'm not offering any medical advice here. So I would encourage you to take the information and then discuss it with your healthcare professional before making any changes to your diet or lifestyle. So I have a master's degree in public health nutrition, and I'm sharing my experience and research with going gluten-free. So first off, what is gluten? Gluten refers to a pair of proteins that is found in grains like wheat, barley, and rye. So gluten acts like a glue that holds the grain together and helps it keep its shape. So gluten can be found in all kinds of foods and even products like personal care products and cosmetic. So it's really important if you're starting a gluten-free diet that you read your food and product labels. So at the end of this video, I'll share some of my favorite gluten-free grains and flours that you can use in your kitchen. So I first heard about a gluten-free diet back around 2010, and at that time I had diagnosed thyroid disease, PCOS, and a lot of other symptoms like digestive disorders and migraines and panic attacks. And then I started developing hives all over my skin whenever I ate something, not just gluten, but anything. So I decided to try a gluten-free diet, and over time, my symptoms improved. I've made a lot of other diet and lifestyle changes over that time, but I've remained gluten-free. So it turns out that I probably have a condition called non-celiac gluten sensitivity, and some research papers show that up to 10% or maybe even more people in our community have non-celiac gluten sensitivities. And some of the symptoms of this include digestive problems, brain fog, fatigue, skin disorders, infertility. And so it might be worth considering a gluten-free diet if you suspect you might have non-celiac gluten sensitivity. And of course, if you have celiac disease, then you definitely need to go gluten-free. So there are a few other reasons why you might want to consider going gluten-free. Wheat, which is really found in a lot of our foods, is one of the top 8 allergens. And so if you go on a gluten-free diet, then by definition, you'll be on a wheat-free diet and you'll be avoiding one of those top 8 allergens. So another reason why you might want to consider going gluten-free is that gluten can be inflammatory. And there's research showing that people who have celiac disease and rheumatoid arthritis can get a lot of relief from their symptoms of sore joints by going on a gluten-free diet. But then there's even other research showing that people who have non-celiac gluten sensitivities can also have reduced symptoms when going on a gluten-free diet. So another reason why you might want to consider going gluten-free is if you have autoimmune thyroid disease. There's research showing that people who have thyroid disease like Hashimoto's disease can help reduce their thyroid antibodies by going on a gluten-free diet. And I sure wish I had known this 10 years ago when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. My doctor really insisted that there were no diet changes that I could make, and my thyroid disease just kept progressing, and eventually I had thyroid cancer and had to have my thyroid removed. And another reason why you might want to consider going gluten-free is because grains and gluten-containing products aren't necessarily nutrient dense. And so by avoiding gluten, you may then have more room in your diet for real whole foods. For instance, if you're on a paleo diet, that diet is gluten-free and grain-free, and so you end up eating your carbohydrates from fruits and vegetables and starchy vegetables like sweet potatoes, and you're avoiding breads and crackers and cookies, which are less nutrient dense. And the last of my reasons why you might want to consider going gluten-free is because gluten may inhibit your absorption of nutrients. And this can happen if you have a gluten sensitivity and your gut wall becomes inflamed, then you may not be absorbing all the nutrients you need. And so you would be actually better off if you avoided gluten and let your gut wall heal. So do I think that everybody should go gluten-free? Not necessarily. That's why I really encourage you to connect with your healthcare professional and go through the options and figure out what works best for you. And so I mentioned I would talk about some of my favorite gluten-free grains and flours that you can use when you're getting started on a gluten-free diet. And I just want to mention, if you like this kind of video, please let me know in the comments, because I am considering creating a series of videos about getting started on a gluten-free diet. And so some of my favorite flours and products include just looking for whole gluten-free grains like rice and millet and amaranth and quinoa and buckwheat. Buckwheat is actually an amazing food that's not a grain at all. It is a seed, even though buckwheat sounds like it would be wheat. It's not, and it's really yummy. And then you can look in your local grocery store. Usually there's a section for gluten-free grains and flours. Some of my favorites include cassava flour, which is made from a root, so it's not even a grain. I really like coconut flour, and I love using almond flour and chickpea flour, tapioca flour, buckwheat flour. There's really so many options these days. So in conclusion, I would just say that these are only 6 of probably many reasons why you might want to consider going on a gluten-free diet. And if you're considering making changes to your diet, this might be one of the first things you want to try. But again, please connect with your healthcare professional to decide what's best for you. And for all the references and citations for things that I mentioned in this video, I have an accompanying blog post that I will link below. And if you like this video, please let me know and check out the playlist that I have created for getting started on a gluten-free diet. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!